Born in Pittsburgh, Chris Plonsky was raised in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Her father was an exceptional athlete.
My father was a college football athlete. He played football at what is now Louisiana Monroe. Got his business degree there, came back to Pennsylvania and began working for General Tire and Rubber Company, which explains why we moved to Akron, Ohio. Well, I definitely want to acknowledge my mom and dad and my 4 younger sisters who have sort of guided me in being the kind of person that does want to give back. Work hard, but give back.
Chris was a 3-year basketball student athlete at Kent State University in the 1970s, where she was also a media relations assistant and editor at the Daily Kent Stater. This was the Title IX era, and women's athletics was taking on a whole new role.
I was able to try out for the basketball team at Kent State, and my coach, who was one of my early mentors, was a woman named Judy Devine. She was the women's athletics director. She coached both field hockey and basketball and really was the inspiration for Kent State's growth in women's athletics, and I still keep in touch with her.
No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance.
What Judy did for me was expose me to the business side of athletics. She was the first one to point up on a hill at Kent and say, go see Terry Barnard in that building, and Terry was our Bill Little at Kent State, a longtime sports info director. Terry hired me in the sports info office as a sophomore in college to begin to track history and records of our women's sports.
Following her time at Kent State, Plonsky worked in communications and media relations at Iowa State University from 1979 to 81, covering 8 women's sports for the Cyclones, practically by herself.
Our women's sports were very strong at Iowa State, especially in track and field. Worked hard, long hours, had to write every article for the Ames Tribune in which women's sports appeared, so I was kind of like a pseudo reporter along with working for the university, but it was a great first job.
Shortly thereafter in 1981, a job came open at the University of Texas, and Plonsky had a great connection on her staff at Iowa State to UT Austin.
I went to see my colleague Butch Henry, and Butch knew DeLoss. I'm going to give him a call.
Donna Lopiano hired Plonsky, and the learning experience on how to be an administrator began.
Donna was a phenomenon. When I interviewed for the job, they were already selling season tickets in volleyball and basketball. They had a full-time fundraiser, a full-time events manager. They had a full-time academic advisor and trainer. Basketball obviously was the football of the women's side. To watch not only Donna, but Jody Conrad, who had an administrative role within women's athletics, along with coaching basketball, really put their thumbprints on how they wanted to grow women's athletics. They were serious about the competition. They wanted to win, but they were most serious about the academic side, making sure the young ladies graduated, and also exposing them of how to become a public figure. When we started competing officially in the Southwest Conference in '83, we began to win on a regular basis, highlighted by that 34-0 season in '86, the culmination of perfection for a women's basketball program, hosting a Final Four that drew over 10,000 people in '85. Everything was organized to an ultimate T. She was particular about what their publicity materials look like. Every photo had to be depicting a positive image of not only her team, but the overall concept of women's athletics. I learned about excellence, reaching for a high bar, discipline, communication, attention to detail, all of that under Donna and Jody.
Plonsky joined the Big East Conference, where she honed her skills on administration and conference television rights, which would be her ticket back to the University of Texas at Austin when Dodds came calling in October of 1993 as Associate AD for External Services.
Jody was the women's AD at that point because Donna had departed for the Women's Sports Foundation in New York a year earlier. DeLoss said we are going to add 3 women's sports to balance our Title IX equity, and we need to raise some revenue in order to add those sports. He said, Jody and I are going to put some of our units together. We're going to begin to merge some operational areas between men and women's athletics, and we're going to let you have the first part of that, which was communications communications and marketing.
Plonsky served as UT Women's Athletic Director from 2001 to 2017, replacing Jody Conrad, who wanted to concentrate on basketball.
There's always a transition. You're always moving forward. And that transition is Chris Plonsky, who would not have the same kind of success and the same kind of visibility and credibility for women's athletics if it were not for Chris.
Legendary Longhorn Bill Little, who spent over 50 years as a UT athletics administrator and SID, had a huge impact on Plonsky's career in Austin.
My colleague Bill Little, who I love and miss, was so good to me. He allowed me into the press box to meet reporters. I helped on the stats crew for football. He taught me a lot about radio and TV, how to get games produced.
Chris Del Conte has overseen both men's and women's athletics at the University of Texas since 2017, as Plonsky's role in her 36th year at the University of Texas is Executive Senior Associate Athletics Director and Chief of Staff.
Chris Del Conte came. You're the boss of all of our programs now, and I'll do whatever you would have me do. Working with CDC has been an honor and a blessing. What an energetic, incredible leader he has been. We're going to the SEC. They're competitive, and I'm really looking forward to see all of our programs in the SEC in the near future.
Chris Plonsky serves on the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. In fact, there aren't too many boards that Plonsky hasn't served on in collegiate athletics, as she's happy to join an elite group of Longhorns on the Greater Austin Sports Foundation Hall of Honor.
This is an incredible, humbling honor because of the individuals who have been part of the GASF. First of all, who work hard in this community for sports, not only for youth, but for everyone who can enjoy it.
Chris Plonsky, a Greater Austin Sports Foundation Hall of Honor inductee.